Happy Hanukkah. I'm Dara Horn, and I'm the author of a new book called People Love Dead Jews, which is a title that nobody is ever going to print on a coffee mug. My book takes a hard look at how Jewish history is often exploited at the expense of living Jews, and how Jews today are often asked to participate in that process of erasing themselves. Tonight, I am thrilled to be your host for exactly the opposite of that. Tonight begins our international celebration of flourishing Jewish life as we kick off A Great Miracle Happened Here, a first-of-its-kind global Hanukkah event series that spotlights Jewish communities across the globe. For the next 7 nights, JDC will take you around the world for an inside look at the rich history, culture, and traditions that make global Jewish life so unique and diverse. We'll celebrate with Jewish communities in Morocco, Ukraine, Estonia, United Arab Emirates, Israel, Poland, and Latin America, learning together along the way. And we'll do it with JDC, the leading global Jewish humanitarian organization, which does this important work in partnership with the Jewish Federations of North America, the Claims Conference, and so many other supporters. The stories of hope, joy, resilience, and perseverance that have shaped these Jewish communities are nothing short of a miracle, especially when the challenges Jews have faced over thousands of years are more personal and psychological than it might appear. In my book, People Love Dead Jews, I write about 2 forms of anti-Semitism that have haunted Jews for centuries, and I name them for the 2 holidays that celebrate triumphs over them, Purim and Hanukkah. In Purim anti-Semitism, the problem is unambiguous. There's a big bad guy who says, "Kill all the Jews." But Hanukkah anti-Semitism is much more subtle. It requires Jews to erase themselves in order to earn public respect. In the Hanukkah story, the Hellenistic Empire that took over Judea started with benign persuasion. They felt their culture was more sophisticated and more universal than Jewish culture, and they encouraged Jews to assimilate and conform. They were simply asking that Jews be more like everybody else. Before passing any anti-Jewish laws, this non-Jewish society managed to make Jews denigrate themselves and participate in their own humiliation. Only then did they begin outlawing Jewish religious practice, and only then did the Maccabees rise up against them. I think there's a flaw in the way we think about diversity today. Too often, we teach people that they shouldn't be bigoted against Jews because Jews are just like everybody else. The problem, of course, is that Jews have spent 3,000 years not being like everybody else. Jews never conform. Uncoolness is Judaism's brand, going back thousands of years to when the rest of the ancient world was sacrificing virgins to sexy deities, while Jews were worshiping a bossy and unsexy invisible god. Judaism is a counterculture that runs through world history, despite overwhelming pressure to be just like everybody else. Judaism is the foundation of Western civilization, and also the greatest challenge to it, because it tests the willingness of non-Jewish societies to honor real diversity. In every place Jews have ever lived, Jewish communities have represented the frightening possibility of freedom. The resilience of Jewish communities in the best and worst of circumstances has shown that it's in fact not necessary to live lives exactly like your neighbors or believe exactly what your neighbors believe. That people can survive and thrive by allowing their real differences to shine in the darkness. For Jews, of course, this tradition is an even greater challenge because it means always resisting that pressure to be like everybody else. There have been times in Jewish history when that pressure has required an almost unimaginable courage. The Maccabees' descendants include not only those who fought for Jewish independence in Israel in ancient times and in our own, but also Jews who gained psychological independence by maintaining their traditions in the shadows of the Spanish Inquisition or the Soviet Union. And their miraculous courage was the beginning of the end of those totalitarian forces. But the Hanukkah story also has enormous value in the freest of societies. The Jewish historian Salo Baron used to criticize what he called the lachrymose view of Jewish history, the idea that Jewish history is just a series of persecutions and disasters. He was right. What's astonishing about the Jewish past isn't the litany of horror, but the ways that Jewish communities around the world have not merely survived, but thrived and created and imagined and invented and grown and changed and flourished. Jewish history is a masterclass in resilience. Today, in the open societies we live in, keeping the flame of Judaism alive requires an active commitment. It requires devotion to law and story, obsessiveness about educating the next generation, and a constant awareness that freedom without responsibility is no freedom at all. It requires dedication. The Hebrew word for that is Hanukkah. In recent years, we have again seen Jewish communities around the world facing that ancient pressure to conform, in ways both obvious and subtle. In ancient days and in our own, Jews are again asked to participate in this self-erasure in order to gain public respect. But on Hanukkah, our tradition teaches us to publicize the miracle, to light our menorahs in places where everyone could see them, outdoors or in a window, or in our case tonight, in a window on your computer screen. We are the bearers of the ancient truth of human dignity. And tonight, as we have for thousands of years, we bring that light to the world. Tonight is our first night sharing these stories and showcasing global Jewish life to celebrate them as a worldwide Jewish family. We'll begin with some words of Torah and inspiration from Rabbi Cosgrove, who serves at New York's Park Avenue Synagogue.
It's an honor to take part in such an important and inspiring event. More importantly, it's a personal honor for me to serve on the JDC board, an organization whose sacred work is central to every value I hold dear. The Talmud explains that Hanukkah is an 8-day holiday meant to remind us of the miracle of the cruse of oil found by the Maccabees when they rededicated the temple, having reclaimed it from the wicked Greeks. There was only enough oil to last one day, but it lasted 8, a miracle that we celebrate to this very day. We learned the story as children, and straightforward as it may be, the 16th century codifier of Jewish law, Yosef Karo, famously asked the following question: if the Maccabees found enough oil for one day, then why is the holiday 8 days? Logically speaking, shouldn't it be 7? After all, there was oil for one day. That fact's not in dispute. That first day was no miracle. Only the subsequent days were, and thus it should follow our Hanukkah celebrations should be reduced by 1 full day. Caro offers several possible answers to his question. First, he proposes maybe the Maccabees divided that 1 cruse of oil into 8 parts, a fractional amount offered each day, lo and behold, that lasted the full day. Hence, a miracle was not any single day, but every single day, all 8 of them. Alternatively, Caro suggests perhaps the contents of the flask were indeed emptied out each day, but miraculously, the next morning, Groundhog Day-like, the flask was still full, a miracle repeated each day, thus all 8. Historically, we know the 8 days of Hanukkah is directly connected to the 8 days of the festival of Sukkot. When the temple was in the hands of the Greek oppressors, the Maccabees couldn't celebrate Sukkot. What is Hanukkah? Hanukkah is the 8-day festival of Sukkot, just celebrated a few months later. There are all sorts of answers to this question, but the answer I like most has less to do with the oil than it does with the faith of the Maccabees. Even though the Maccabees had oil for one day, the miracle of that day is the fact that they bothered to light the menorah at all. The temple stood in shambles. All hope was lost. And at that moment, they demonstrated the raw faith that no matter the setbacks, no matter the odds, they would not despair, they would not give in, they would light that menorah. Could have been faith in God, it could have been faith in themselves, I don't know. Bit of chutzpah, gumption, confidence, hope for those Maccabees that they would overcome an otherwise glum and hopeless situation. They anticipated a brighter day, infused and enthused with a sense of promise and purpose, impelling them forward even in their darkest hours. It's not easy. It's not easy at all to find light in the darkness, to kindle a light when logic counsels otherwise. But it's this will to believe that constitutes the essence of who we are and who we can be. Our tradition explains that each one of us will be asked certain questions by the heavenly tribunal, ethics, family, Torah study, and otherwise. But perhaps the most enigmatic, but also the most important question is Kivita la Yeshua. Did you look to or anticipate redemption? Regardless of your theological leanings, it's a question of the attitude that you carry yourself with. What is your posture of being? Are you forward-looking or are you stuck in the moment? No different than the House of Hillel's rationale as to why we begin Hanukkah with 1 candle and then increase to 2, 3, 4, and so on. So too in our own lives. On matters of importance, our attitude must always be seeking to increase the light, anticipating and working towards redemption. The work of JDC is premised on many values: rescue, relief, renewal, and otherwise. But at its core, I believe that the work that we do together is premised on the notion that no matter the darkness, our efforts are capable of bringing light around the globe and in the lives of those most in need. As long as we have a breath, neshama, to breathe, there's always enough oil to light 1 candle. May we, the descendants of the Maccabees, live with their faith, seeking to mend our broken, fissured world, and ever leveraging our lives towards creating and sustaining light in the darkness. Thank you again. Chag Sameach, and back to you, Dara.
Beautiful, Rabbi Cosgrove, thank you. Now, to get us in the celebratory spirit, I am thrilled to introduce our special musical guest, Israeli-American rapper Nissim Black.
Hello, JDC. This is Nissim Black. Thank you so much for including me in tonight's event. It's going to be exciting. So for me, Hanukkah carries with it a very special message. It's a message of Jewish unity, strength, and resilience. And here tonight, I'm thrilled to build on that message. I'm going to perform my song for you this Hanukkah, 8 Flames. Enjoy.
Yeah, whenever we down, he can lift us up. Ain't a difficulty, too difficult for us. If only we would trust and keep our heads up. The sky we can touch, yeah, but I'm living the weight on my arm. I'm feeling so out of my zone. I'm feeling so far from my home. I'm feeling so out of control, yeah. And when it's dark out, I can't see, yeah. So can you wave a light for me? It's hard. From Egypt to Babylon, the Holocaust. Inquisition would pivot us to the pogroms. Yeah, from the Greeks and now in Rome. Yeah, but we fight back to light that fire. They got a problem cause this neshama won't expire. We moving on. We show the whole entire world no fear in us. And so we make a flame for this miracle. Yeah, yeah. So we make it 8 days. 8 nights, and you can call it 8 flames, 8 nights. We light a flame for this miracle. We light a flame for this miracle. So we make it 8 days, 8 nights, and you can call it 8 flames, 8 nights. And we light a flame for this miracle. We light a flame for this miracle. I'm standing here, but I can't hold myself. I know I need the help of someone else. I am my brother's keeper. I can use my hand to be my brother's keeper. We gon' fly away. Yeah, 9 in a million years. Can 6 million tears be ignored still? These are arms of steel. King David's shield. Operation Moses, Ethiopian Trojan. He gave the mighty to the weak and the many to the few. And in a minute it was through. Even in the dark, we light it through. And now I give my light to you. But we fight back to light that fire. They got a problem cause this neshama won't expire. We moving on. We show the whole entire world no fear in us. And so we make a flame for this miracle. Yeah, yeah. So we make it 8 days, 8 nights. And you can call it 8 flames, 8 nights. We light a flame for this miracle. We light a flame for this miracle. So we make it 8 days, 8 nights. And you can call it 8 flames, 8 nights. And we light a flame for this miracle. We light a flame for this miracle. So we make it 8 days, 8 nights. Call it 8 flames, 8 lights. So we make it 8 days, 8 nights. Call it 8 flames, 8 lights. flame for this miracle.
Thanks again, JDC. Have a great rest of your evening and have a Hanukkah Sameach.
Thank you, Nisim. That was so powerful. And now, for a taste of what Hanukkah is all about, I'm excited to introduce Molly Yeh, star of Food Network's Girl Meets Farm, as she shows us a new twist on a Hanukkah treat.
Hey everybody, happy Hanukkah, it's Molly A, and today I'm going to show you how to make my chocolate hazelnut gelt cookies. They are so much fun to make, they're really easy to make, and they're delicious. They're chocolatey, they're hazelnutty, they're crisp on the outside and soft in the center. I make these every year, and I started making them when I realized there are so many Christmas cookies out in the world during the holidays. There need to be more Hanukkah cookies. So for my dough, it uses basic pantry ingredients, flour, eggs, butter, sugar. The only thing that's not really usually a basic staple, I would say, is hazelnut flour, which is finely ground hazelnuts. And I use this in my dough because it contributes delicious flavor, and it also contributes to a nice, dense, moist texture. So I started by creaming some butter and sugar in my mixer bowl. And I'm gonna add some orange zest because orange and hazelnut go really nicely together. I smell it already. I'll add in my eggs. I've got 2 of them, I'll add them one at a time. And some vanilla for that nice winter warmth. And just scrape down the sides to make sure everything's getting incorporated. I love making this cookie dough because it's a roll-out, cut-out cookie dough that you don't actually need to refrigerate before cutting out your shapes. It comes together very easily. Okay, now for my dry ingredients. I've got all-purpose flour, my hazelnut flour, and this is something that you can make yourself or buy at specialty grocery stores. Or if you didn't want to use hazelnuts, you could use almond flour. Really any ground nut would do. And then some salt and baking powder to help get these cookies a little fluffy. I'll give this a whisk. Just make sure this is nice and combined. And then I'll add this right into my mixer. I'll do it in batches so that it doesn't go flying everywhere in my kitchen. Once this comes together, it is ready to roll out. Like I said, you don't have to refrigerate this dough to firm it up before rolling it. You can just go straight on to rolling it. But if you wanted to make it in advance, you can certainly wrap it in plastic wrap and stick it in the refrigerator. But I've got some ready-made dough here, and I'll roll it out to a 1/2 inch thickness, which is one of the things that makes these cookies so good, because a 1/2 inch is quite thick. So keeping them that thick allows them to stay nice and soft in the center. This is a really pretty dough too because the hazelnuts are speckly. You can cut this out into any shape. Since I'm doing the gelt on top, I'll just do a circle. This is a biscuit cutter here. I'll cut out my circles and get them onto a cookie sheet that's lined with parchment paper so that they don't stick. Just like that. And I'll space them apart about 1 inch or 2 just so that they can get baked evenly. These go in the oven at 350 degrees. It's important not to overbake them because that's what's gonna help keep them soft in the center. So start checking for doneness at about 10 minutes. And when they just start to turn brown on the bottom, that's when you wanna get them out of the oven. So I have a batch here that's baked and fully cooled. And now to decorate, you basically make homemade chocolate coins right on top of them. I have some melted chocolate here, and you can use any kind of chocolate really. You can use a few different kinds to get different colors. You can use white chocolate or ruby chocolate or dark chocolate. I'll add a dollop on top. Swirl it around to get my chocolate coin. And then to decorate, I've got sprinkles. You can use crushed nuts or crushed pretzels or seeds. These are really pretty sprinkles. And And that's it. You keep on decorating, you let them set, and these cookies are good for a few days, so you don't have to feel like you have to eat them immediately, even though you're gonna want to. These will really up the ante at your next dreidel, Gabe. Thanks so much for watching. Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you, Molly. I have a feeling my kids are going to want to try those. If you're looking for more Hanukkah recipes, head to hanukkah.jdc.org to download JDC's Global Holiday Cookbook. And now I'm pleased to introduce JDC's CEO, Ariel Zwang, joining us from her home in New York City.
Hi, I'm Ariel Zwang. I'm the CEO of JDC. Hanukkah is the story of resilience, tenacity, and Jewish connection. My own memories of Hanukkah as a little girl are very strong. My grandfather gave me and my brother menorahs, Chanukah, that you wind up and they play music. Mine plays Ma'oz Tzur, Rock of Ages, which we sing when we light the candles, and my brother's plays Hatikva. I light candles with that menorah to this day, and now even including Zoom with my parents and my children, wherever they are as well. At JDC, we work to make similar memories by proudly partnering with Jews in dozens of countries every day to strengthen Jewish life, engage with Jewish tradition, and build a positive Jewish identity. Each place has its own story to tell. That's why we're delighted to showcase the rich histories, culture, and traditions that make global Jewish life and communities so diverse and so exciting. Over the course of the next 7 nights, JDC's A Great Miracle Happened Here will take you to Morocco, Ukraine, Estonia, the United Arab Emirates, Israel, Poland, and Latin America. By connecting in this global celebration, I hope you'll be as inspired as I am by these modern miracles that keep the flame of Jewish life burning bright. And now, I'm pleased to share a few reflections from the young global leaders who'll be taking us through this Hanukkah journey. Please tune in every night and have a beautiful festival of lights. Happy Hanukkah.
As Jews, we're connected by more than just history. We're connected by ritual.
Here in Ukraine, in the USA, in Israel, all over the world, we are like those candles in menorah.
Every individual in each community is a unique thread in the global Jewish tapestry.
I cherish my traditions, I cherish the Jewish identity, and for me it's always a pleasure to share the life and the history of our Jewish community.
What connects us all is this choice, this everyday choice to be a part of Jewish peoplehood.
We have the same history that we share and that we tell our kids. I am proud to say that I am first generation in my family born in Israel. My father's from Romania, my mother's from the US, my grandparents are from all over Europe.
It may be naive, but it's a feeling of having people having your back all around the world, of having the tribe, and it's a good feeling to, especially in today's world, not to feel alone.
Today, we learned from the Hanukkah story that even in our darkest, most quiet moments, there's always possibility if we seek it and we nurture it.
And people can tell you that you're wrong or what you're doing is not the right thing, but I think you should keep on and holding your faith and continuing with what you believe in.
Participating in this global Jewish event teaches us that we're not only interconnected, we rely on one another to see the future of Jewish communities survive. Big or small, all Jewish communities are worth celebrating, and joyfully.
Hanukkah specifically is this very happy and hope-giving holiday, so it's really my pleasure to celebrate it with people around the world.
No matter who we are, big or small, rich or poor, we all have something to contribute. So don't discount your light, and don't discount the light of others, because together we are whole, and together we are bright.
And of course, no Hanukkah celebration would be complete without a candlelighting ceremony. Today I have the honor of helping to usher in this very special Hanukkah with all of you around the world. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, vetzivanu lahadlik ner shel Chanukah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asa nisim lavoteinu, bayamim hahem, ba'azman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Thank you for joining me and the JDC community this evening. Starting tomorrow, be sure to tune in here at 7 p.m. Eastern for a look at a different global Jewish community each night of Hanukkah. From my home in New Jersey to all of you, Happy Hanukkah.